Hello guys, I'm gonna do it this way today. We'll do a quick video and then I'll just send it to you guys. I'll download it real quick after doing this and send it to you. Just wanted to chat about a few things today and sort of clarify to you as part of the processes. So the objective of today is talking about your internal process. Okay, so what we do once we've got a client, and then your time management as a scout working with us. Okay, so that's the objective of today's session. I'm recording it here. I'll try and keep it as brief as possible and get to the point quickly. What we can do afterwards is, once I've sent this video to you guys, you can then come back to me with some additional questions in the group chat, and obviously I can answer those and clarify everything in more detail. So first things first, once you guys have found a scout, there's plenty of videos out there on our training page that explain how to find them, right? But what do we do once we've actually got them on board? So you're going to pass them to the team leaders in the office, right? When I first start working with you, I always take your first couple of leads to make sure that you're on track and you're going in the right direction and you're getting the kind of leads that are going to work, right? So that way I can work out the kinks, I can give you feedback so that you're going in the right direction, so that when you are having those conversations with the team leads here in the office, you're being a bit more accurate and we're being efficient with their time. Okay, so what happens in that first phone call with the team leaders? What we're doing at that stage is analyzing the client. Okay, for example, a lot of the parents might not be engaged in the conversation. Ideally we want you to be bringing the client and the parent onto that phone call. Without them, we're not going to be able to do anything, right? Mum and dad need to be on board. Otherwise, who's going to pay for the services? The kid ain't going to be paying for them, right? Especially at 16, 17. Someone maybe at 20, 21 and they're signing up with us, then maybe they're going to be bankrolling this themselves. But 9 times out of 10 it's the parents. So we want to get the parents engaged. That's the first thing. So we're analysing them in terms of their sporting ability and their academic ability, but equally important is the personality. Is mum and dad involved in the conversation? Is the kid engaged in the conversation? If the kid's not engaged in the conversation with you, they're certainly not going to be engaged with a college coach. Then we don't want to be putting that kid with a college coach, because they're going to be like, why am I having a conversation with these people? All right, so it's a reputation game. So we've got to get them engaged early. Okay, so we're assessing them. We actually have assessment forms. Joel, the vice president, he put together assessment forms per sport. There's about 10 or 12 different assessment forms now for each sport. So you've got golf, obviously. The statistics and the information we want from golf are very different than the statistics you're going to need from an American football player, right? So we've got individual assessments that we will give to those clients at the end of the conversation that I would be having with the family. So your job is bringing them. Our job is, when we're first speaking to them, we're analysing their abilities of the sport, of the academics, and then obviously the personality of the family, and trying to gauge their level of interest. Okay, so we'll get, at the end of that conversation, we'll get the assessment form to them. I'll usually give them the pricing as well, like the list of our services. We don't need you to know all of that in the beginning, because you're not going to be able to answer all of the questions. So in the process, bring them in. We'll have that conversation. I've mentioned to you all before, I want you involved in those second and third phone calls so that you can listen to the process that we go through. I want you to listen to the analysis. I want you to sort of figure out what it is that we're asking them and why are we asking these particular questions. And it's all based around getting to know these people, getting to know their ambitions, their motivations, their level of strengths in the sports and the level of strengths in the academics, so that we can put them in the best possible school with the best possible scholarship. Okay, so once we've done that for them, we're coming back with an analysis, and we're going to have a third phone call. In that third phone call, we're telling them what the reality is for them. Okay, what kind of schools can we get you into? Academic level of those schools, which division will you be playing your sport in those schools? And then obviously from that, you've obviously got the different pricing of each of those schools, and then the scholarships that are going to be available to those kids once they go to school. So before they even sign up with us, okay, they're just collecting information at this point. They're already going to know more or less which schools they're going to get into, which divisions athletically, and what sort of the academic prestige of those schools. They're going to know that very clearly before they even pay us. Okay, now, when I come back with that, I'm obviously then going to go through all of the services that we provide, and we'll help them understand the different services, how much those services cost, and we'll give them a suggestion of, we think you should do this, this, and this. A bit like when you go to a car mechanic, right? You go to a car mechanic and you got a flat tire. I'm not going to get your engine remodeled because you got a flat tire. We're going to give the services that are appropriate and that are needed. So we'll do that for them. So when they walk away from that third conversation, they're going to have a very clear idea of what the reality is. And quite often in those conversations, we'll be closing the deals at that point. Okay. And what do we do when we close a deal? So we get a contract in front of them. That's going to be at the bottom of the services and pricing page. If you want to take a look, it's asmscholarships.com/scholarship management. That's where you'll find all of the services and prices. At the bottom of there's a contract. So when they're ready to sign up, they go in there, they click on the button, they'll fill out the contract. I like to be walking through that with them. Okay. Had an incident this weekend. A scout messaged me saying, hey, a client needs to know how to fill out this document. So I just quickly messaged the team leader that was involved, and they took care of that client, jumped on a phone call and walked them through the contract. In that contract, there's selections that need to be made, and we need to be pressing the right buttons there so that when the contract comes through and the guys in the accounting department here, they're obviously charging the appropriate amount of money for those services that we're going to provide. Usually what happens at the bottom, you'll be able to put the scout and team leader name into the contract, so that when Christoph in accounting receives it, he's going to contact myself or the team leader, whoever it is that's on that contract, just to confirm a few things. So that's part of that initial process. What happens then? So they've signed up and they've paid. Okay, that means you're going to get paid as a scout at the end of that same month for that client that came in. Okay, what happens then? We're literally going to push them through our CRM system. If you're not familiar with the CRM, just Google CRM. There's lots of them out there, but we use Pipedrive. So in Pipedrive, we've got that client's contract now. We've got notes about that client, and then we're going to move them through the process. They end up in the media department. I'll give you a quick tour. So Christoph usually in this room, which is actually the placement room, but he's in Holland right now, so he's working from Holland. Then we would end up over here. You're going to end up in the media team. There's Tiff and Jezebel's probably over there. So they're in the media team. So once the client is on board with us, they're going to get an email from media, and that's a process that they're going to go through of collecting the information, getting video, and all of that, so that the guys can start their work of creating that profile. Okay. So they get to media, they get to Tiffany and Jezebel, they send an email, and then they start collecting all of this info. What do we do with it then? We create the profiles. You guys have seen the profiles, I'm sure, at this stage. If you haven't, go to the following page, asmscholarships.com/athletes. Okay. In that page is where we host all of the profiles for all of our clients, and then the marketing guys, which is basically placement, who are back here, which I just showed you, combined with media, they are sending that out to all of the college coaches, and we're sending it out on social media. Okay, so it gets out on Facebook, Instagram. We're beginning to sort of go into Snapchat and TikTok as well now. So that's where it goes from at that stage. Now the placement team, which is led by Fabian, you've got Joao in soccer, you've got Elric as well, who's doing a lot of the stuff with golf, Chris Grace. So these are the guys in the office that are heads of the placement team for the different sports. They are then sending it directly to college coaches that we know are going to want these kids. There's no point in us sending a D student, a student that gets 50-60% in his exam results. There's no point in us sending that kid to Ivy League, right? There's no point in calling the coach of Harvard and saying, hey, we've got this kid that did 60% in his exams. We're wasting our time, we're wasting his time, and next time we call that coach, he's probably not going to pick up the phone, because it's a reputation game. He wants to spend his time speaking to ideal candidates, because if they wanted to speak to anybody, they could just open their email and they receive about 500 to 1,000 emails every weekend from kids that want to apply to programs, and 90% of them are not qualified to be there. So the reason the coaches use us is for that exact reason. They want to cut straight to the chase and be speaking with people that are relevant to them. So we're very focused on getting that kid in front of the coaches that are the appropriate level of schooling, the appropriate athletic level as well. Okay, so that's the next stage. So the placement team are in charge at that point. In our process, and how are you involved? Okay, you're on that second phone call. All right, we want you in that group chat that we've created. So in the group chat you've created for yourself, the parents, the client, the kid themselves, and then your team leader. Okay, maybe it's me, for example, the scout director. Okay, from there, once they're signed up, they're registered, and the media team have sent the email, then we're going to add in, depending on the sport, we're going to add in someone from the placement team so they can have regular conversations and chit chat with those clients. So if it's, for example, track and field, basketball, or rugby, I'll probably add Fabian in. Okay, if it's soccer, I'll probably add Joao in. Joao's the soccer director for placement. Additionally, in that group, you'll have Christoph. Christoph is our Mr. Organizer. He's the one that gets them registered properly in the NCAA, or if they need to take the SAT test, he helps them register and make sure that the paperwork gets done. So he's very organized. Everything gets done in a very timely manner through him. So now we've got a lot of people in this group chat. What does that mean for you? You're not doing anything at this point. You've created this little world and you're just sort of sitting on the sideline watching everything going on. What we like to do is have you engage every so often, more socially at this point than anything else. That's what I do. I just message every so often to say hi, how you doing, what's going on. Jan Elise is one girl that we spoke about recently. She's a rugby player from Barbados, plays on the national team, but she's not very engaged. She's typical teenager. She needs to be sort of pushed and pushed and pushed. So we have a good relationship because I physically met this girl in Barbados because I was commentating a tournament over there. So for me, it's a little bit easier. She tends to react better to me than the guys that she's never met, understandably. So, when she's not responding to a coach's email, for example, I'll jump on and say, hey, Jan-Elise, make sure you respond to this email. They sent it 3 days ago. You haven't said anything to them yet. What's going on? And that way we're continuing that conversation. It's not a lot of work for me to do that. It's a 30-second text message and it gets her re-engaged. And the guys here in the office then can pick up and do what they're supposed to be doing, which is at that stage negotiating scholarships and making sure that client is getting some feedback from coaches, and the coaches are sort of saying, yep, we're thinking about this level of scholarship or whatever it might be. Okay, so that's where we are at that moment in the process. So you're basically just maintaining contact. The long-term goal, as I've mentioned for most of you, is I want scouts today that are bringing clients in 5-6 years from now to be the agent and manager of those players. So it's important for you to sort of be engaged with them and involved in the conversation. At this stage, myself, I've got hundreds and hundreds of group chats going on, but again, it's 30 seconds. Hi, how you doing? Hey, Merry Christmas. Hey, Happy New Year. That kind of stuff. It's pretty basic from your perspective at that stage. The placement team and the media and marketing team, they're doing their work. Okay, so that's the process that goes on after you've brought that client. I just wanted you guys to understand exactly what that was so that you can, when you're going into conversations, you understand a little bit about it. I don't expect you to remember all of it. I don't expect you to explain it all in detail. We do that. When we're on that second phone call, after you've introduced us, we're going to explain all this to the client. Now, the more of those conversations you're listening to and engaged in, and because you've set these conversations up, then the more you're going to learn, the easier it will be for you to remember as you're going into initial conversations with your next leads. Okay, so that's why we do all of that. So the one of the subjects that I wanted to talk to you about today was the time management. Okay, so there's a lot of information that we have in the internal process. We don't need you to understand all of that, especially in the beginning. If you're new, guys, understand what you know and don't pretend that you know something different. Don't pretend that you know more. Okay, use the process, trust the process, and this works. Okay, so keep it simple. Don't try to know it all, and use your time to prospect. Spend your time researching, spend your time in YouTube, in Google, in Instagram, looking for those clients. Because if you do that, and then you've got a stack of clients that you're having conversations with, then your life's going to be easier, because then you're getting clients coming in, you put them through this process. We take care of explaining all of the different processes. We take care of providing those services. What are you doing while we're having those conversations? Go back to prospecting. Okay, not sure who it was, but last week I had a scout say, "Hey Gavin, I found my first lead. You know, someone that's been working for us for several weeks already. And they've just found their first lead." I'm like, "Okay, great. Let's get on a call with them." And he's like, "Yep, I've got a call set up with them for next week Thursday." And I'm like, "Why? Why is next week Thursday?" "Oh well, mum and dad are busy." They're not that busy. I only want you on a phone call for 3 minutes with these people. So if you're speaking to a kid and they're like, "Yeah, I'm interested in doing this." Okay, great. We're having a conversation. What do you want to do with your life? "Oh, I want to be a famous soccer player. I want to play professionally, but I want to go to university first." Excellent. Are mum and dad in the room with you? "Oh, they're next door." Okay, get them. "Oh, well, they're kind of busy. What are they doing? Making tea? You know, making lunch?" Okay, it's a 3 minute conversation. We want to get them engaged as quick as possible. Okay, we don't want to waste time. "Yeah, let's have a meeting next week." We don't have to wait for a week for a 3 minute meeting. And why is it only 3 minutes? Well, you should be able to answer this. If you've been through these videos, you know what it is I want you to ask. Okay? And if you don't, here we go. It's, how are you doing in school? When are you going to graduate? "I'm going to graduate in 2022. Okay, great. You graduate in 2022. What kind of scores are you expecting to get from your exams? "Oh, I'm in England. I do GCSEs next year." Okay. So you're not graduating, you're just doing your GCSEs. What are you doing afterwards? Are you doing A levels? Yeah, I'm going to do my. Okay, so you're graduating in 2024. Yeah, okay, that's true. Then we know, okay, where are they in the school process? What exam results are you getting? Generally, I get 70% in my exam results. I'm taking English, math, science. And okay, great. That's some initial information. How are you doing in your sport? "Oh yeah, I'm an amazing soccer player. I'm playing for Manchester United's academy." "Okay, you don't want to play professionally?" "Well, maybe I don't think I will, because there's 7 other players that play my position that are above me, so I think maybe I won't get a pro contract." Okay, great. Now we know where you are. This is your target market. Okay. What's next? Are you interested in coming to the USA? It's a very important question. At this stage, you don't even know if they're interested in coming here. They're just speaking to a scout, and that feels nice, so they maybe answer the phone because you're a scout. That feels important, right? So ask them, "You want to come here?" "Well, I don't really know much about it." Okay, then we need to explain what the process is. We need to figure out, what it is that they're going to do. "Do you want to go to university?" I've had kids that have had a 30-minute conversation with me and then told me, "I don't really want to go to university. I've wasted my time." Okay, that should be one of the 3 questions for me are, where are you in the school system, and are you any good in school? Are you good at the sport, and what do you want to do with your life? And 3, do you want to come to the university system in the USA? "Oh yeah, I want to go to university." Okay, cool. Then we can continue the conversation. That's 3 questions. It takes 3 minutes. If you don't get answers from those 3 questions, I don't want to speak to these people. I want to know where they are in the school system. I want to know their level of ability with the sport, and I want to know if they're actually interested in doing this. And that's what you need to do to get them to the team leaders, because my team leaders do not want to have a 30-minute conversation with someone that does not want to come here. You're wasting their time. Okay, so that's why we tend to keep it simple and cut to the chase. So how do you do that? You're prospecting. Okay, a lot of people. Again, I'll take an example. I won't mention the names, but I have one guy that's been working for us for 4 months, something like that. And I was speaking to him, and I was like, "Okay, how's everything going?" "Everything's going well." I said, "But I haven't signed any clients yet." I says, "How long have you been with us?" "I've been with us for four months." And I'm like, what do I do? I mean, I'm not getting many clients, and nobody's signing up. And I was like, "Okay, well, on average, how many leads are you getting?" And he said 2 or 3. I was like, "Oh, 2 or 3 a day, that's not bad. So what's happening?" He goes, No. 2 or 3 a month. So think about that. He's been with us for 4 months. This particular person has brought 2 or 3 leads each month for the last 4 months. So say at the most, that's 12 potential clients in 4 months. And he's surprised that he's not getting any closed deals. That's a big problem, because for me, I'm sending about 50 messages a day prospecting. Okay, so if I'm sending 50 messages a day prospecting, that means I'm probably going to get about 25 responses. And from that, I'm probably going to get about 10 to 15 phone calls with parents. If I'm having 10 phone calls with parents, I'm expecting half of those to at least want to know more information. Therefore, I can send them to the team leaders. Okay, so if you've only got 2 or 3 leads, that means you haven't done many many messages. You haven't prospected. So to get a client a month, you got to do at least 50 messages in a week, because that means you've messaged 200 people, 100 of them responded. From that 100 responses, you maybe got on 30 to 50 phone calls with parents. If you can get 50 phone calls with parents, an initial phone call, half of them are going to want to know more by the end of that conversation, right? You've qualified them in that conversation, so then you can push them to the team leaders. That means you're putting 25 leads into the system. That means that the team leaders are going to set up 25 calls. That means that you can be involved in 25 conversations, and then you can learn how to do this better. If you do that, then you're in a conversation that's more deep and meaningful. Okay. If you're having 2 or 3 conversations a month, you're probably not even going to remember the services that we provide. You're not going to remember the processes that we go through. But if you're doing 25 conversations a month, at least then you're engaged, and you're hearing this story on a daily basis, or at least every couple of days. You're involved in that conversation with the team leaders and the clients. Then you're more engaged, and then you can actually start making some decent deals. So that's part of that process. You've got to convert these people. Now, how do you do that? I do that by setting targets. Okay, for me, if I'm going to do an hour or 2 of work on a Sunday morning, this Sunday, that's what I did. I sat down and did a couple of hours of just prospecting. Okay, so if I can find 10 leads in an hour, and then after that, the second hour, I'm sending 10 messages and engaging in conversations. That's 2 hours of work. That's 10 people. 5 of them will respond immediately. The other 5, maybe they respond over a couple of days, or they don't respond at all. But at least then you're having a conversation. If you can convert that 1 hour of work into a couple of phone calls with parents, so 2 hours of work, 1 hour for finding the leads, 1 hour for engaging in conversation. From that, you should be able to at least get 3 or 4 conversations with the parents. Okay? If a kid's responsive and they say, yeah, I'm available for a call right now, great, let's go. And you're on the conversation. And you say, hey, is mom and dad around? Yeah, they're right here. Perfect. Involve them in the phone call. Then bang out those 3 questions. And then say, guys, you want to learn more? They're going to start asking questions. You're not going to know the answers. No. Okay, guys, no problem. I'm going to put you in touch with Gavin. I'm going to put you in touch with Marina. I'm going to put you in touch with Christoph. These are the guys that are going to engage in that conversation and explain all of the details to you. And there's no problem with that. And if they say, well, we don't really want to speak to anybody other than you, well, for us to continue this conversation, you're going to have to get the information from these people. I'm just the scout at this stage. I'm here looking for talent. You're a talented person. We want to get you involved. Great. Then everything's positive. Let's set up another call. I'll make a group chat. I'll introduce you to the team leader, and we're moving along pretty quickly at that stage. Okay? So guys, basically it's cutting to the chase. Okay? We don't need to spend a week to set up a meeting that's going to last 3 minutes. That 3-minute conversation can happen at any moment while you're before or about to leave for work in the morning. It's cutting to the chase and getting it done quickly. Okay, so some scouts they get to the basics via texting as well. Some people don't even engage in that conversation because kids sometimes don't want to speak. They're not used to speaking on the phone. There's no harm in getting that basic information via text. If you want to spend the time texting back and forth with a kid, they're going to start asking questions, but you're the one that's got to manage that conversation. So again, you can do those questions. If the kid doesn't want to get on a call, you can sort of feel it out by saying, hey, okay, where are you in the school system? Oh, I'm 16, I've got 2 more years. Great. How are you doing in school? Oh, I get more or less 70, 80% in my exams. Okay, that's good. If it's negative, I'm a 45%, 50% student. I'm immediately, okay, guys, I don't know if I can help you, but maybe junior college is an option. And then they're going to say, oh, what's junior college? Excellent. Well, we can let you know that once you're on a conversation with my team leader. So always you've got to manage that conversation. You can do it via text if you want to. Okay. Getting that level of comfortability and drawing that person into the conversation a little bit. Sometimes it helps by doing it via text. Okay. So getting mum and dad involved quickly is a key. Using the fact that the pandemic right now is a situation where a lot of people are sitting at home, working from home. Kids have been in school and now they're at home getting schooled. Parents that work in offices are now working at home. So quite often that 3-minute conversation can be had very, very quickly. So, cut to the chase and do that if you can. Now, a lot of you guys are when you start, you come in and you say, okay, Gavin, I know the coach for this academy, and I know the PE teacher at this high school, and I'm going to go speak to them. Okay, great, but what's going to happen if you do that? They're probably going to want to come on as scouts and make their own money. That means you get cut out of a deal. We don't want that. Okay, so my suggestion is first, find the individuals, okay, that want to do this. You can use the academies, you can use the high schools to find those clients, but rather than trying and going big immediately, you need to get a few deals under your belt, and you need to know the process. Because, and I've had this 100 times before, I've had a scout come to us and say, hey Gavin, I know the head coach of London Irish, for example, it's a rugby team in the UK. Okay, great, let's go have a conversation with them. Immediately you're going to say to that coach, hey, listen, I work with this company and they put kids in university. Okay, great, what do we do with that? That coach is going to want to say, okay, if you can explain it to me, then good, but you need to put them in touch with us, because we'll be able to explain really what the situation is, and they're probably going to end up wanting to come in as a scout, which means you're not involved in the conversation. So what do? Go to the director, the person that's going to be signing up, the kid. Again, find that the roster of those players and message them directly, get them on board. Then that's a client for you. Once you've got clients rolling in, then you can go to the academy and say, hey, I'm a scout director with this company. We think you'd be someone that would be able to work with, and that person then can become your scout. As a scout director, then you can manage a team of scouts, and that person is then feeding leads to you. It's a more logical way to do it. So there's the long-term goal and there's a short-term goal. You have to hit the short term before you can get to the long term. So that short term is finding clients, having those conversations, and getting them under your belt so that you can start making money. Once you're making money, you get used to it. You're learning the system. Then become a scout director, and as a scout director, then you can bring in your scouts, start managing the scouts, and they're bringing the leads for you. That way, you're building a bit of a pyramid for yourself to be able to manage a group of people and then be successful. So that's what I want you to do, especially if you're brand new. Okay, if you're thinking about page 10 already, you're not going to get to page 10, or if you do get to page 10, you're not going to understand what's happening there. It's like when you read a book, right? If you start reading at page 10, you're not going to know how the story is. You're coming in halfway through the story. You've got to read page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to be able to get there. So that's what we want you to do. You know, follow the process, trust the process. And the reason I say this, guys, is because we've made all the mistakes. We've been doing it. Chris and myself and a few others have been doing this for years. We've made all the mistakes that can be made. Okay, don't try and reinvent the wheel. Trust this process, go through it, and then we'll get you to that next stage where you can be obviously making more money and building a really good career. So those are the items that I wanted to speak about today. I'm going to post this video into the group chat. What I want you to do is listen to this video, try and absorb the information, and then you can message the group asking additional questions, and then we can get into that sort of discourse in a little bit more detail. Okay, guys. So my apologies again today. The Zoom link wasn't working. The internet was horrible. But this video kind of was pretty solid. It's 30 minutes. So I'll post that in there. It's got all the information in there that I wanted to get to you guys today. I'll try and upload it afterwards as well to the Scout training page, so it's in there for future reference. It's important to go back to that training page every so often, guys, to assess how you're doing things. Are you doing it the way that you set off to do it? After that conversation, after the initial training conversations that you had. So yeah, anything you need, guys, let me know. I'm available for you. Hope this was useful for you. And if something doesn't make sense, because I know I go on a tangent sometimes, then feel free to message me directly. I'm always here to help, guys. Okay. All right. Have a fantastic week. Go find us some clients and we'll make you some money. All right, guys. Ciao. Have a great day. Bye.